Alright, welcome back to the channel everyone. Today we're going to be discussing Loki episode 2. Um yeah, of course, before we begin, spoiler warning, because we'll be mentioning some of the stuff that important, at least to this episode, that maybe Easter eggs, maybe nods to other things. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. So first things first, the first thing to notice when we start off the episode is the Marvel logo for this episode turns green. So green for Loki, of course. So that's the first major thing. Then we get them kinda having the Minutemen go back to other timeline, which is 1985 in Wisconsin, I believe. And the major thing in this scene is the bad Loki. Well, all Lokis are bad, but the bad Loki for the series, we see her, or him, using an ability to control the Minutemen, and she does this by using it on a female agent or a female Minuteman, and she does this by something similar to what we've seen in the past, where I believe in Age of Ultron, when Scarlet Witch was messing with the minds of the Avengers, she would do something similar where she touches your head here, and we see is basically a nod to that, I guess, because we see she touches the person here and the magic enters their head and their eyes turn green. So similar to what Scarlet Witch did in Age of Ultron. Just hers, it turned red, of course. And basically, she gets the Minutemen to basically fight each other, and she then stabs one of them and takes the charges, the reset charge. Um, and she then takes out the device that the Minutemen use to monitor the charges and set them off and all of that. And she takes the one that she took control of, takes her hostage and leaves. So this now leads us into us seeing Loki has officially, well, our Loki has officially become an agent of the TVA, and we see him reading a book on jet skis, as well as talking to the little clock lady, I forgot her name. And this might come into play later on, but the clock lady, he asks her if she's alive or if she's like a recording. And she says she's a bit of both, and he tries to whack her with the magazine, and she jumps into the computer. And the reason I say this is important is there's a story in the comics, spoiler warning for the comics, of course, where Iron Man died and he transferred his consciousness into becoming an AI, basically. So I'm thinking if they go to bring him back, they could use something like how this clock lady is to kind of emulate that for at least a movie or two. So I think that's a nod to that. So yeah, next moving on, we see Loki kind of join them for their meeting before they go to 1985 to see what's going on. And in doing so, or they at least bring up glimpses of the other Lokis that they've met so far. So we see a normal looking, kind of similar Loki. We see one in a biker suit. We see one that is a bit hulked out, kinda big and buff and strong. We see one that looks like he has a beard, a weird looking one. Then we see one who looks kinda like a barbarian, kinda with a skull helmet on. Um, and also in the scene, Loki kind of explains magic to them, or the ability, one of the abilities to them, and he's like, well, I assume you knew that already. So kind of one up in them in a sense. And then they head over to basically the 1985 timeline where they try to see what's going on. And Loki here tries to stall them for time, pretending to help them. And this leads to us at the end of that day leaving. They reset the timeline with the charge, and essentially we end up in the office of the lady who Loki was speaking to in the last episode, who was like the leader of the court, the judge then. And we see in her room she has a lot of souvenirs. I'm sure there's some Easter eggs there that I may have missed, but there's some souvenirs. And we see she has 3 statues behind her desk, which of course are the Time Lords. That being said, we get Mobius and her talking, and basically she's mad at him because Loki kind of tricked them and stalled them here. And he begs basically for Loki to have a second chance, and this leads to him and Loki having a kind of an argument. And he basically tells Loki, you know what, you could take this how you want, but basically I see you as either a scared boy and he's trying to help him, or something else I can't remember exactly, but initially he's trying to help him, but Loki is kind of playing the fool, and you know, the it Loki is just being Loki. We then get them going down the elevator, and again a glimpse at the three Time Lords again as statues, and he basically puts Loki to work to help him figure out where the next Loki or the variant Loki would show up. And Loki kinda realizes something here while going through Asgard's destruction file in Ragnarok. I believe this Loki wouldn't know about this because this is the future. So he's kinda shocked still. But he figures something out and he goes to talk to Mobius, and he takes his salad and uses it as the metaphor. And essentially what he comes up with is the timeline is straight. However, if you go to a point in time where there's something huge or catastrophic that is going to kill a bunch of people, um, and you make changes to that timeline, it wouldn't branch because either way the people are going to be wiped out. So his reasoning now is that maybe the Loki is doing that, so that's why they can't detect them. And this leads them to testing out this theory. So Loki and Mobius go to Pompeii before it explodes in 79 AD. And Loki starts acting the fool basically. And it proves the point essentially that he made changes, but the entire area was wiped out, so it didn't affect the timeline. So Loki one-ups the Time Variance Authority again with his thinking. And he and Mobius then have a little discussion again, and they go about looking now for a point in time where they could maybe find this Loki again, and that's purely because in the last episode that Loki gave a kid some bubblegum. So they went through the records looking for the bubblegum, what year it was made, and they found out it was made between 2049 I think and 2050 or something, or 51 or something like that. So they looked for mass events of extinction basically within those time periods, and they found it. Basically Loki finds it, and they go now into the year 2050, which of course is into the future, and they head over to this event, and basically it seems like it's a big hurricane, tsunami kinda 2012 situation going on. But essentially the event is taking place, and Rock's cart is the area where, or the store that it's taking place at. So before we move on, pause, we see Rock's cart, and Rock's cart, I believe, is going to be, or is a reference to Roxxon's company. Roxxon is a company in the comics that deal with a lot of shady stuff, but this could be foreshadowing for Roxxon becoming part of the MCU officially soon. But I think this is a nod to Roxxon basically. So yeah, Loki and the TVA walk into the diner, well, not the diner, the grocery supermarket, big area, kind of like Walmart kind of thing. Um, so yeah, and Loki uses his magic to dry off himself, and essentially we see the bad Loki looking through the TV monitors, monitoring what's going on, and Loki and Mobius are forced to split up. So Loki goes with the lady who doesn't like him, and Mobius goes with some of the agents. And this leads to Loki and the lady running into someone who says they're buying plants. And when the lady goes up to him, he grabs her hand and transfers consciousness, it seems, into the agent. And we get the same kind of effect with the magic, where it transfers up into the person, and the person he was in before, or the bad luck he was in before, drops to the floor. So interesting use of the abilities. I don't think we've ever seen our Loki use that power before, but yeah. We then cut to the back where all the civilians are, and we see some of the Minutemen are being assholes and treating the people badly, it seems, or talking to them in a certain way because, as one says, they're about to die anyway, they should be scared. And it doesn't seem to sit well with Morbius, so I'm thinking this is going to drive a wedge between Morbius and the Minutemen, and he's going to realize that maybe all good isn't good, kind of like what Loki said before, and all bad isn't bad. Um, so I'm thinking that is what is going to happen, and Morbius would be able to see certain way things, what the way they carry on things in the TV isn't actually good. um, so yeah, he stops the guy and he talks to him and tells him about it. We then see the bad Loki and our Loki essentially meet up, and well, they met up before, but essentially she transfers body again into this bigger guy, and this leads to Loki and him having a fight, but it wasn't really a fight. Loki just got tossed around a bit, but this leads to her setting a time on thing that she stole from the TV, the little remote thingy that they have on their gauntlet here, and she sets a timer basically on it for a minute, and this is also where we get the reveal of who the Loki is, and she takes off the hood and we see it's Lady Loki. One thing to mention is the horn on one side of her crown is broken. That being said, there's two art designs for Lady Loki that I've seen in the comics. Personally, one is with the long horn, so I'll draw pictures of it on the screen, and then there's one that looks just like this with one horn broken. So I think this one is a reference to that design, just the hair color is a bit different. But basically she sets off this big bomb, and what happens when the reset charges go off is they don't go off in this area like they thought it was going to go off. They start teleporting away, and basically it begins creating branches on the timeline all over. So this is like a code, the guy called it a code 000, so it's really bad. So it starts branching out the timeline even more. So we see all the TVA members running to try to save or stop this. And then we cut to this scene here with Loki basically realizing what's going on, and he's trying to find out why the other Loki is doing this, but he doesn't get an answer exactly. And we see all the lights around them turn red, and the bad Loki leaves, and Loki decides to follow her. So we get that, and before Loki could follow her, of course, Mobius comes in and sees him leaving with her. So yeah, the episode ends with that basically. I don't think there's a lot of Easter eggs I noticed in this episode, except for the Roxanne and the Lady Loki references from the comics, of course, and things like that. But yeah, it was a good episode, a good setup. I'm interested to see if Lady Loki and Loki are actually going to team up, or if Loki is going to betray her. Because Morbius mentioned that Loki is the type of person to stab you in the back, and he said like there's like 50 accounts of you doing that. So yeah, but it's an interesting story so far. Last episode a lot of people said it was kind of slow and they didn't like it, but I thought the setup was good. So yeah, a lot going on. I'm hoping we get to see the Time Variance Authority get mentioned, or mentions someone else again. Kang, I hope they mention him. I'm also hoping we get to see the Time Lords before the series ends. And yeah, that's about it really. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. Again, next week I'll be doing the same thing. I also reviewed in the past WandaVision as well as Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So yeah, both of those on the channel. Playlist might be up here somewhere, so you can check that out somewhere here or here, whichever side, somewhere right here. Or you could just click on the channel and check out those reviews. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.